gorgeous blonde woman wearing a tight
Just my luck. Saw you looking at her and might not get up.
Gaming. It's a very popular pastime hobby, especially amongst teenagers. These games are so alluring to teenagers because of the casual fun it brings to them, trying to relax from the stress of school with their friends through multiplayer games, or the captivating storylines that submerges gamers into a whole different fantasy world in a single-player RPG. However, on the other end of the casual gaming spectrum is a rapidly growing industry, one that instills a fierce competitive drive in its participants just like any other traditional sport. This is eSports.
Outplayed in game, but the follow from Speaker was running London, Golden Guardian turn around. Now you get a team fight. He's gonna shoot. You're kidding me! Centaurus makes early. Hit number one. Here comes kill number two. And he's in for number three. Number four. The king of Mexico. He's gonna find it. 7 seconds to go on the bomb. Jet tries to build pyramid, but it's no more play. Stewie's won the round. We go to overtime.
Sports and athletics in high school have been a popular tradition throughout North America in recent generations and is something that is seen as highly regarded, which is demonstrated during the Friday Night Lights, where the rowing student section chants proudly for their high school football team, with instruments from the marching band blasting shocks of sound throughout the stadium. However, sports within schools have not always been seen as something to be proud of. According to the publisher The Atlantic, they claim that during the early 20th century, the only form of competitive athletic activities at the time were reserved for kids in lower classes who played amongst each other with no parental supervision, while their upper class counterparts engaged in activities that were not seen as athletic nor competitive. It wasn't until a few years later, when compulsory schooling became mandatory in all states, that posed the question of what students should do in their free time. The solution for this was sports. The reasoning behind this was that it preached the core American values of hard work and cooperation and could prepare them for their future jobs in the industry. It's because of these foundational values that have caused a massive spike in the interest of adopting athletics into high schools and as the years progressed throughout the 20th century. These exact fundamental values that have caused the uprising in sports amongst high schools have also shown why it's necessary to implement the high school esports club, as it preaches these same exact concepts but for a different target audience: passionate gamers. So, what is esports? Esports is a highly organized competitive tournament and turns gaming into a spectator sport and is a source of entertainment. Hit esports games include League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO, Apex Legends, Fortnite, and many more. These games attract millions of viewers from people worldwide. According to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, in 2022 alone, the global esports audience was estimated to be around 532 million, with 29.8 million being from the United States, and this view count is projected to skyrocket up to 34.8 million by 2026. With this huge attraction of viewers, this in turn greatly attributes to the economic success of esports, as the Cision PR Newswire states that the esports market is expected to hit $4.47 billion by 2030 from its current market value of $1.42 billion in 2022. This exponential growth in esports has allowed for the industry to expand outwards from the top pro leagues and has gone to be established at the collegiate level, with many colleges and universities such as UC Berkeley, NC State, University of Central Florida, and much more to take an interest in esports and have developed their own respective programs. Due to the rapid development of esports at the collegiate level, we are now seeing a push to begin the establishment of a high school esports league too. The fact is that most schools strive for inclusion, For example, at Green Level High School, the school that I go to, its vision statement clearly states that they're dedicated to establishing an inclusive environment. Creating an esports club and integrating an esports league at the high school level is a big step towards striving to achieve such an inclusive school community, because the establishment of an esports club brings students with similar interests together and can help them learn many valuable skills, such as social skills and critical thinking skills. According to an article written by ViewSonic, it emphasizes the importance of why esports in the school is a good thing, as it allows for inclusion, especially since gaming can be an isolating pastime. Creating a school esports team combats this problem, as it brings these students together and forms a positive social experience, which can in turn form long-lasting friendships and connections. These social connections and experiences were later emphasized in the article when it talked about valuable skills gained from playing esports in high school, specifically collaboration skills, as esports is highly organized and a complicated team sport, causing students to develop communication skills that are imperative to the success of their team, which are some of the core principles that led to the development of sports at the high school level in the first place. These reasons are also why more and more esports clubs in high schools have been increasing, which can be seen in our school too, as Dhruv Patel talks about the reason why he decided to find and hopefully establish the Green Level Esports Club.
My name is Dhruv Patel, and here I am conducting an interview with Mr. Justin over here.
To what I'm aware of, you're trying to create an esports high school club in Green Level, right?
Yeah, I think honestly esports is a great way for people to connect with each other, because competition, you're working with people you might not necessarily have worked with before, and because you're working towards a common and shared goal, you can, get you can get to know them on a much more deeper level, and it's just fun to play competitive games. Even if there's ultimately no prize in the end, it's fun, playing against each other, just trying to see who's the best. Other schools like Panther Creek and Green Hope, the students there have started their own esports clubs, and I'm kind of hoping for some cross school competition, assuming that the club does get approved, because I think it'd be fun, because obviously I don't think esports are popular enough to warrant their own independent teams as a part of the their own independent school teams, but as just a fun club thing to compete against other schools, for prides, just seems really fun.
And speaking of other esports high school clubs, as Dhruv stated in that interview, let's see what the presidents of the Panther Creek High School Esports Club, Rohana White and Bindu Harini, have to say about why they created this club and what they hope to achieve.
Yeah, hi, my name is Bindu. I'm one of the presidents of the PCHS Esports Club.
Hi, I'm Ro. I'm also one of the presidents of the PCHS Esports Club.
Yeah, so usually a lot of people, when they think of esports, they think of it as like a distraction and not something that's very positive for the students. And I guess our main mission is to just show everyone that esports isn't just like video games. There's a lot more behind it, and there's a lot of positive effects that come from playing esports. Like, for example, our teams, they've improved their communication skills, their leadership skills, and a lot more stuff that come with esports than just like video games.
Both presidents of their respective esports club have similar goals as to what they wish to achieve with their esports club, mainly that they hope that esports will bring students together and create a positive social experience, along with developing skills such as leadership and effective communication in an intense, competitive environment. Earlier in April, I was invited by the Panther Creek High School Esports Club to experience this surreal moment and to also commentate their regional Valorant esports tournament against Holly Springs High. Here, you can see how zoned in these students are in preparing for their match and during their warm-up routine. You can practically feel the tension building up in the air as match time was approaching. Let's just say the tension lived up to expectation, which was seen in my impeccable shoutcasting right here.
Holly Springs is kind of late to the rotate. They have to execute this quick.
Curious drops the
Jones does not spot
Jones does not spot anyone.
It is not spot Muzan. This is big.
Costa gets started out. Oh my God, Muzan! It's over already. PCHS clutches up an overtime into Holly Springs hurting 12. GG to all.
Okay, listen. Before you say anything, please cut me some slack though, okay? This is my first time actually casting the Valorant game. Do not clown on me, I swear to God. All jokes aside, it was 13-12 in overtime, and it was do or die for both teams. Everything was on the line, and the students had to step up right then and there if they wanted to win the tournament or not. It's moments like these that test the skills of these players in order to achieve success. These are the same exact skills that were first preached to students when the high school athletics were first established back in the 20th century. Nevertheless, let's see what the players themselves have to say about their experience in the esports club.
Hi, my name is Shotcut. I'm in a JV team. I'm Basasa and I'm the JV coach right now.
My name is Laban and I go at Scout 204.
I'm Alvin Lee. I go to Fancy Creek High School. I'm a varsity player for their Valorant team. I feel like this is like an opportunity for myself to learn my skills in esports, and I can also help my classmates like playing games, and we can all have fun. I just wanted to play esports because of the environment around it, how there's so much hype around it, and especially going in high school now. I just want to be a part of something big.
Well, I am very passionate about video games, and the esports club is a very fun way to communicate and join a bunch of people that also are passionate and want to play similar games to your interests.
I think esports helps with team building a lot because you have to communicate with your teammates, but also it's realizing that it's not one's fault and it's a team effort always. But you can't always be the one putting in the most effort, but you can't always be the one who's putting in the least effort. I think it has a lot of team building skills in that sense.
All of these players seen here are your typical high school students who have a passion for gaming, and that's why they decided to partake in this club for some casual fun and competition at the same time. Another key reason that esports should be implemented at the high school level is that it could potentially prepare students to go into a rapidly growing multi-billion-dollar industry. Just like how high school classes may prepare you for college or for your career, an esports club in high school provides students with relevant knowledge that can help them to pursue a career in the multiple job positions that esports may offer, whether it may be something more behind the scenes such as a manager, something to do with logistics or marketing, to a more front-end scene such as a player, a coach, or a shoutcaster. These are just only a handful of jobs the esports industry currently provides. As emphasized earlier in this video, Decision PR Newswire states that the esports industry is projected to grow to a revenue of $4.47 billion from its current market value of $1.42 billion, which demonstrates the amount of job opportunities in the esports industry will continue to skyrocket as this industry expands, thus cementing the practicality of how an esports club may cater towards high school students, as it could be a future career choice for them. Let's hear what some experienced esports figures who are involved in this industry have to say about such opportunities.
My name is John Pomponio. I go by Chime, and I'm a pro player.
Yeah, my name is Travis Gafford. I have been, as you say, doing esports stuff for over a decade now. I think maybe 11 or maybe coming up on 12 years.
Wow.
Mostly covering League of Legends esports.
Well, I know for one, there's at least 3 schools that come to mind that offer like near full rides for league scholarships. And so that's like a pretty good segue, I think, if you're a good league player in the high school scene and these and you apply or these universities recognize you. I think you could get like a free or near free education on a pretty good ride. So I think that could be a big one. I know like Maryville comes to mind, Harrisburg comes to mind. I know there's a few ones in California, like the UCLA team isn't there yet, but it's like growing, and same with the UC Irvine, I think.
Yeah, I do think that esports right now is going through a bit of a correction. I think as we move into a tighter economic environment in the US that esports is facing, but when you look at the amount of people that are watching esports globally and you compare that to any other major entertainment product, there's no doubt that this is going to be an industry that will last for a long time. And that there are, if anytime you can get that amount of people to watch something or participate in something, there's always an opportunity for folks to work in a space around it. So I believe that going forward, yes, this will continue to be an opportunity for people to be able to work and do things.
As Travis states, esports is currently suffering at this moment due to the economic issues that are currently happening in America right now. But this does not hinder the future projections in revenue growth and job opportunities that the industry may provide. Another notable thing that was stated by Chime is how scholarships may come into play and shows how esports could tie into the education of teenagers and provide students a way to pay off their college tuitions. All of these statements further emphasize how esports can serve a practical purpose to students and how it may prepare them for their future jobs, which was one of the original intentions of establishing athletics in high school during the 20th century in the first place. Despite all of these positive impacts that esports can bring to high school students, there still seems to be a lot of stigma amongst parents and educators for their reluctance to establish a high school esports team. They have the notion that esports are bad for students as it could cause teens to develop an addiction to gaming and can contribute to health complications. In a study done by staff from UC Irvine, they state that such skepticism about an esports program stems from the broad stereotype that gamer culture is toxic and is seen as lazy and antisocial and can contribute to an interference with other aspects of teenagers' lives. However, the study claims that it's necessary to educate parents and educators on such concerns and communicate to them about how these feared risks simply aren't true, and that it is also imperative to convincingly communicate how these risks can be mitigated through an esports club. Travis Gafford further emphasizes on this idea right here.
I think that to some extent these companies have done a decent job, especially at the collegiate level, of reaching out and supporting clubs and colleges, but
yeah,
I think at the high school level it's a little different. So one of the most valuable things that I think they can do is succeed and promote their esports at the high end, because it is very easy, I think, for people, for parents and educators to understand the value of basketball, for instance, whenever you can see the NBA and all the amazing things that happen at that level, right?
Sure.
Because it's a very natural thing. I do think people are becoming more aware of esports. They are becoming more aware of tournaments, but continuing to have those things grow and raise awareness and have media coverage and documentaries and all that stuff, I think that's a great way for there to just be exposure for every person to esports and to understand the value that it brings.
Convincing education is necessary to address the concerns of parents and educators of video game addiction. It's imperative to show how an esports club can actually mitigate these problems, as one notable way is that it provides a source of healthy balance for teenagers and can allow them to explore their skills and figure out whether they may wish to commit to an esports related activity or not, which is exactly what Chime says here.
I think the biggest thing is that the majority of pro players, I think, don't have a fallback plan.
Yeah.
It's like they dropped out of school, and they they put betting everything on the line for their career, and a lot of that can really lead to like emotional regulation problems within the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of pro players have difficulty because they know they're like all in. Like if they fail, if they don't win, if they don't get signed again, like they have no education because they had to choose between like high school or like any like certification versus going all in on pro. And I think having like a club could at least have a balance where like if you're good and you really enjoy the game, you can commit to it and still have like a balanced life. It doesn't have to be like you put everything in video games or nothing.
However, a lot of this also relies on students to also take accountability for their actions too, and make sure that they are also keeping themselves in check and knowing their limit, which is exactly what another experienced esports player has to say.
Hello, I am Speaker. I am a professional League of Legends player playing LCS. I have won LCS in 2020. I've won MVP in 2021, and so far, I'm completing playoffs for 2023 spring season. I mean, honestly, I think it's just all very open-ended. It's very case by case. Yeah. Like, I think video game addiction is definitely real, but honestly, you could be addicted to just anything. I guess some, addicted to like reading or whatever is much better than addicted to video games. But I feel like it's just up to the individual themselves, right, to have a healthy balance. Mm-hmm. And if they're able to control that, I just feel like just letting people enjoy something, there's no downside to it as long as it's healthy.
Spica emphasizes the importance of students being able to be responsible and maintain a healthy balance. But another key concept that should be taken away from this interview clip is that the argument of video games interfering with teens and their lives is blown out of proportion, as the argument can pretty much be applied to almost any concept and activity, not only for video games. And Drew doubles down on this point right here in our interview.
My argument is that anything you're passionate about that doesn't involve academics is probably going to have the same effect on grades anyways. If you're an athlete, you're more concerned about playing your sport than you are about getting good grades in school. Like, I feel like that argument doesn't necessarily hold up when you consider, like, if there's something you're truly passionate about, some people are willing to drop stuff like academics to go pursue it. I know people who, like, they don't care much about school, but then there's something that they're really passionate about that they're more interested in pursuing over school, so that's the reason why they have bad grades.
Okay, yeah. So you don't think that you don't think that this is a valid argument only for video games, then basically.
I don't think I think I think it's a very cherry picked argument because the thing is, right, you can make that claim for any other type of extracurricular activity that doesn't involve that doesn't involve just school.
Both Drew and Spica emphasize on the importance of students being able to know their limits and take responsibility for their actions in order to maintain a healthy balance. But as Chime stated earlier though, esports clubs can facilitate these balances as it's a controlled environment with people supervising each other and supporting each other, and shows how the integration of esports at the high school level is able to mitigate any sort of risks that may be involved with it. Another concern that parents and educators may have about esports being integrated in the high school level is that it can contribute to complications in regards to health due to sitting on a chair for prolonged periods of time in front of a computer, which can in turn affect both the mental and physical health of a teenager. However, this just seems to be another stereotype about gamers being lazy, as according to the research publisher Frontiers, physical activity is starting to become a priority amongst high school esports programs, with more and more schools beginning to include physical activity as part of their routines, as it has been shown that exercising has led to an increase in performance. This demonstrates that another form on how an esports club can actually mitigate the risks involved with it, as it allows for group activities that can promote healthy lifestyles and balances, as stated previously. The same can also be said about burnout too, which is a mental health issue that seems to be a problem throughout the esports industry. Let's hear from Svika to see how he thinks it's necessary to deal with it.
I mean, I think the biggest thing regarding burnout is just understanding when you have it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize it is even a thing. And, you know, if you can't really identify that's a thing, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. At least for me, I know I go through periods of burnout where I go super hard. You know, I play 13, 14 hours a day. I play, I eat, sleep. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. So, you know, sometimes I would notice, oh, you know, I'm just not having fun doing this. You know, I just feel, I don't look forward to playing the game. I don't look forward to doing anything. And then, you know, if I'm not playing, I just feel really anxious because, oh, you know, maybe I'm slacking off, maybe I'm not doing enough. So I think that pertains to, like, you know, anything, even like, you know, school, studying, you know, if you feel like that, where you feel anxiety doing something, I feel like just understanding that burnout is a real thing, and then you can, you know, learn how to approach that.
As Svika stated in this interview, burnout for some people can be a hard thing to identify. The creation of an esports club, however, allows for students to be able to work in a controlled environment with their peers and supervision from staff, and can allow for a more safe and controlled environment where it's easier for people to check in on each other and mitigate such problems such as burnout. This is another reason how the implementation of esports at the high school level can mitigate such risks. Nevertheless, it's important to understand that esports is simply just another form of entertainment that brings people together in order to have fun. That is exactly what I felt when I went to the League of Legends Spring Finals at the PNC Arena in Raleigh earlier in April. It was an absolutely thrilling experience just being able to experience the hype and the intense environment with people that had similar interests with me and cheering on for their favorite teams. I got to meet a lot of people who I admired in person, such as my favorite pro players and famous esports figures within the scene. And it was so nice just to be able to feel this raging excitement in person too. It's moments like these.
What is it? my god! Come on! Yes! Yes! Serious players! Make some noise!
That emphasizes the whole point of esports, which is to have fun. And that is exactly what Spica has to say to us.
I mean, I think just enjoy the game. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people, when they try to get good at something, they get frustrated, right? And then they forget why they even do it in the first place. You know, if you get frustrated playing a game, what's the point of playing it? It's supposed to give you enjoyment, right? So I think just keep that in mind always.
This is why esports should be integrated into high schools, as it allows for people of similar interests to come together and make a thrilling social experience for them in a controlled environment with reduced risks, and can allow them to develop crucial skills that could greatly impact their future and set them up for success. These exact same skills and concepts were also the same ones that kickstarted the whole entire trend of adopting traditional sports in high schools during the 20th century, and these should also be the same reasons why we should have esports at the high school level in the 21st century.